Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not be in want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Psalm 23, probably the most famous of all psalms in the book. We know it so well. It tells us how the Good Shepherd cares for his sheep. And perhaps we picture David as a young shepherd boy looking after the sheep, lying on the ground, looking up into the heavens and thinking about all that God has done for him. But Bible commentators suggest that this particular psalm was written near the end of David's life, perhaps during the problems that he was facing with Absalom. And David was looking back to reflect upon God's goodness. So if you've fought some battles, you've carried some burdens, then this psalm is for you. Looking at those first few words, the Lord is my shepherd, what word would you emphasize above all the others? Perhaps the word is. The Lord is. There's a certainty there. Perhaps the word my. David's talking about his personal experience. The Lord is my shepherd. I'll not want. He makes me down to lie. There's lots of familiar phrases in this psalm to us. One of the verses says and talks about the valley of the shadow of death. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. I'll not run. I'm not fearful. Of course, David calls this place the shadow of death. But there was a valley of shadows in David's day, and he would have perhaps led the sheep from one place to another, from the lowlands to the uplands, through that valley. It was a dangerous place to go, where bandits and other people who were intent on violence would lurk. But David looked at it as a shadow of death. Shadows cannot ultimately harm us. Death is the gateway, of course, to our eternal home. We may not be looking forward to dying, we're looking forward to get to heaven, but it's the only way to get there. Unless, of course, Jesus comes to call us before then. David also uses that phrase about his cup running over. We used to sing it in Sunday school, my cup's full and running over. Perhaps we didn't understand what it meant. In those days, if you went to someone's for a meal, I know that's difficult to imagine in these days of coronavirus lockdown, but imagine you've gone to another household to share a meal and to have drink, and at the end of that, you're coming to the final drink, and if the host only poured your glass up to the halfway point or so, it was a sign that when you'd finished your drink, it was time to go. And you didn't have to say anything about that. It was a well understood idea. But if your host kept on pouring the drink until it reached the brim and overflowed onto the table, it was a sign that they were enjoying the fellowship and wanted you to stay. Now remember, David saying here, my cup runs over. My cup runneth over. And it's God the host who's pouring the drink into that cup and saying, we're enjoying that sweet fellowship together. Of course, Psalm 23 is often used at funerals, which in a way is a shame because David's speaking about all the days of his life, not necessarily just death, the valley of the shadow of death, yes, but all the days of my life. And I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. The Lord is my shepherd. Jesus referred to himself as the Good Shepherd, who takes care of his sheep, and more than that, he lays down his life for them. His sheep recognize his voice and they obey him. Well, may we be faithful sheep as we follow the Good Shepherd this day. There's lots of songs we could use at this point. Our theme tune, well, our current theme tune anyway, for Walk Through the Psalms is a modern take on Psalm 23. We're going to sing today the words by Keith Banks. Yes, the Lord is my shepherd. It speaks about our contentment in his wonderful provision. God bless you. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. Amen. God bless you and have a great day.